They expect you to raise your voice. They expect you to curse, to slam doors, to fight back with fists and fury. That's how they win, by dragging you into their chaos, into their storm. They feed off your reaction, your anger, your pain. They hope you explode, because explosions are loud, messy, and easy to blame. But what they'll never expect, what they can't handle, is your silence. That still, dangerous quiet that makes them squirm. That unspoken defiance that doesn't need to yell, because it already won. Your silence will break them in ways your anger never could. Because silence doesn't entertain them. It doesn't validate them. It doesn't give them what they want. And that's exactly why it destroys them. There is strength in silence, the kind of strength that makes people uncomfortable, makes them second-guess everything. When you refuse to argue, when you stop explaining yourself, when you don't give them access to your emotions, that's when they lose. That's when the mask falls off and they realize you're not the same person they tried to break. You've changed. You've evolved. You've mastered yourself. They can no longer provoke a reaction out of you because you've outgrown the need to respond. And that silence, that's the roar of a lion walking away, not because it lost, but because it doesn't waste time on barking dogs. Look at the Joker, misunderstood, underestimated, misjudged. They called him insane, but his silence was louder than 1,000 screams. He didn't need a megaphone to make a point, he just had to exist. His stillness, his calm in chaos, his refusal to be predictable, that's what made him dangerous. And in many ways, that's what you must become. Unpredictable, unshaken, quiet, but never weak. Because there is a terrifying kind of power in a person who does not react. A person who watches everything, says nothing, and waits. And when the time comes, they act, not with emotion, but with purpose. Let them talk, let them gossip, let them lie, let them assume, let them paint pictures of you that were never true. You don't need to shout your truth into the void for it to be real. The truth doesn't need defending from people committed to misunderstanding it. Your silence is your declaration that you don't owe anyone a damn thing. Not your energy, not your peace, not your time. Silence is your boundary, your armor, your strategy. While they run their mouths, wasting time and breath, you move forward. You grow, you build, and you do it all in silence. They will call your silence cold. They will say you're detached, emotionless, indifferent. But that's not true, is it? The truth is, you've just learned that not everyone deserves a response. Not everyone deserves to hear your voice, to feel your fire. They haven't earned it, and some people never will. That's not your problem. That's not your burden to carry. You're not here to explain yourself to small minds. You're not here to beg for understanding. You're here to rise, with or without applause. In fact, you don't want applause. You want peace. And peace rarely makes noise. The ones who try to break you with their words, with their games, with their manipulation, they will never understand how it feels to sit across from someone they couldn't crack. Someone they couldn't read. Someone who stayed still when the world told them to shout. That's what haunts them. The silence. The lack of response. The way you looked at them and walked away like they were nothing. Like their opinion never mattered. Like their power over you dissolved the moment you stopped reacting. People underestimate the pain of silence. Because when someone doesn't respond, you're left alone with yourself. With your thoughts. With your guilt. With your doubts. That silence becomes a mirror, and what people see in that mirror terrifies them. They see who they really are. They see the damage they caused. And you didn't have to lift a finger. That's why silence is power. It forces people to confront themselves, and most aren't ready for that. Anger is easy. Anyone can explode. Anyone can scream. But silence takes discipline. It takes strength. It takes knowing your worth so deeply that you don't need to argue with someone beneath your frequency. When you choose silence, you're choosing to rise above. You're choosing your peace over their chaos. You're choosing to be the bigger storm, not by force, but by presence. Think of the times they hurt you. The betrayal, the manipulation, the lies. Think of how much they wanted you to break. How much they wanted to see you angry, devastated, desperate. And when you didn't give them that, when you stood tall, smiled, and said nothing, they lost. Even if they pretended they didn't, even if they laughed in your face, they felt it. That sting, that emptiness where your reaction should have been. That's what breaks them, not your rage, not your revenge, but your absence, your silence. Because silence is absence turned into presence. It's walking away and letting your absence speak volumes. It's sitting in a room and letting people feel your energy without uttering a word. It's letting your aura do the talking, your eyes carry the story, your peace echo louder than any scream. That's the kind of power they'll never teach you in books. That's the kind of control you earn through pain, through betrayal, through rising from the ashes again and again. You're not here to be loud. You're not here to prove anything. You're here to be undeniable. And the most undeniable people in this world don't waste time defending themselves. They show you. They let their results speak. They let their silence speak. They let the universe speak on their behalf. And the universe always answers those who move with quiet purpose and relentless grace. So stop explaining yourself. Stop reacting. Stop giving people front row seats to your emotions when all they want to do is judge the show. You're not a performer. You're a creator. You're building something that can't be seen yet. And you're doing it in silence. Because that's how legacies are built. Not with noise, not with announcements, but with actions. Silent, consistent, powerful actions. They'll come back one day, confused. Wondering how you managed to grow without them. How you healed without screaming. How you became unstoppable without saying a word. And you'll smile, because you'll know, they were never your fuel. They were just noise. And you stopped listening. That's your power. That's your edge. That's what makes you different. In a world where everyone's trying to be heard, you chose to be felt. And that feeling, that quiet storm inside of you, is something no one can steal, fake, or replicate. That silence, that's the real revolution. And when it's all said and done, when the dust settles and the masks fall off, they'll remember the one who didn't shout. The one who didn't fight for attention. The one who walked through fire in silence and came out glowing. They'll remember you, not because you were loud, but because your silence broke them in ways their words never could. And that's power. Let me know if you'd like this in a stylized design, poster format, or with visual elements for sharing.